About a financial aid package for Ukraine.
Yes, this has been under discussion now, as we know, for the past couple of weeks. The IMF has agreed now a funding package for Ukraine. It will amount to between 14 and 18 billion dollars to come from the International Monetary Fund. It's part of an overall 2-year deal which will see a total funding for Ukraine of $27 billion. That will include the amount of money that has been committed by the European Union, what we're expecting to be committed by the United States, and also other international partners. It's a staff-level agreement, which means that it still has to be approved by the board of the International Monetary Fund. But what we do know is that they have gotten some concessions on, of course, the key financial reforms demanded by the IMF in exchange for this money. The two big issues were allowing more flexibility in the value of the currency. That's happened since the start of this year. We see the currency have fallen by some 35% against the dollar. The other big issue is gas subsidies. The Ukrainian government provides a huge subsidy to consumers of gas in Ukraine. That's something the IMF wanted put to an end. We're already getting some movement on that. Yesterday, the state gas company announced that it would have a 50% increase in the price of gas from the 1st of May this year. There are further increases expected by 2018. Only very sketchy details of this deal we have so far. There'll be more on it during the day here on France 24.
OK, and that news came out after the markets opened here in Europe. Tell us what's happening there.
A fairly negative start to the day here in Europe. That news from Ukraine just being digested as we speak by the markets. Down, though, across the main indices in Europe, as you can see. Here in France, there's been a sharp increase in household confidence in March. The figures, in fact, showing that the French are as optimistic as they were in July 2012. That's in contrast with some pretty unpleasant unemployment figures, which we'll come to in a couple of minutes. Shares in Paris down 0.3%. Over in Asia, it was worries about the crisis in Ukraine, which was driving trading today. We saw big fluctuations on the Nikkei. It opened down 1% over fears of this new sales tax increase that's coming into force on April 1st. It's now finished in positive territory, up 1%. OK, well, staying with the events on the markets, it wasn't a very good first day for the maker of the game Candy Crush. No, in fact, King saw what could be the worst the biggest fall, rather, in first day trading of shares of any company to float on the stock exchange of its size. In almost 20 years, shares fell by 15% on that first day's trading. Investors worried about how King might replicate the success of Candy Crush in its follow-up gains. Diana D'Souza has more.
Wall Street's reception was anything but sweet. The maker of the popular game Candy Crush Saga saw its stock price tumble over 15% on its first day of trading. The slump now values the company at below $6 billion, lower than its lofty estimate of $7.1 billion. According to King, Candy Crush alone has 97 million players. This one game has propped up the company.
It's terrible. I played once. I was against the game. I tried once, and now I can't stop.
While Candy Crush is available for free, the company makes money from users buying hints to navigate through different levels. Some analysts say King has already reached its peak unless it does something drastically different. The recent rush of tech firms to the stock market has led to fears of a bubble.
When a company makes so much money, we can't talk of a bubble, because a bubble exists when companies aren't making money.
King's fate is being compared with Zynga, the creator of Farmville. Since listing in December 2011, the company has seen its value slide 40%. King has hinted at using revenues it generates from the markets to make possible acquisitions. If its stock performance fails to improve, its choices will be slim.
OK, some big news from here in France next. Stephen, we've had some more bad news on the unemployment figures.
Yeah, it seems we're saying this now every month, but the number of people out of work in France hit another record high in February. There are now almost 3.35 million people out of work here in France on unemployment benefit. That's an increase of 31,000 since January. Terrible timing, of course, for President Francois Hollande and his government coming up to the second round of elections this Sunday. There are now 420,000 more people out of work than when he came to power in May 2012. The increase is all across the board, even in that particularly sensitive category of youth unemployment.
There are more people whose contracts are ending and more taking redundancy plans, although that masks a number of economic layoffs. We're seeing a rise in every category, which shows the labour market is really deteriorating.
Okay, and we're going to finish up with a technological development for the more high-tech among us. That does not mean me. A change to how we change our clothes that's emerging in London.
Yeah, I don't know if how many people this will actually appear to, but it is the virtual style pod, which allows people to try on clothes without actually having to put them on at all. The technology uses cameras to film how a clothes would fit on you, and then you can change them using the screen, as you can see there, and it will show you what the clothes will look like on you without you actually having to put them on. Now, it's being shown in a new tech showcase space in London called the Flux Innovation Lounge. It's been previously shown in Abu Dhabi. Plenty of criticism, though, already, as you might imagine. Some people saying that it's not going to help you choose the fabric, which is, to feel how it looks, and also to choose the fit, to see how well it's going to fit you.
Absolutely, very important aspects there. And I have to say, on those pictures, that lady was wearing a dress already. So is it fitting the dress over your dress?
Yeah, it puts it over what you're wearing already.
So it only works if you wear the clothes over other clothes. I mean, they haven't thought this through, have they? Thanks very much, Stephen Carroll, with the business news and the clothing news here on Live from Paris. We're going to turn our attention to the big headlines in the international media with Florence Villeminot. You've been looking through the international papers and you've got some